Amanda here from Create with Scrimping Mommy. Thank you for joining me. So today I'm going to give you some ideas of what you can get together to add to your journals or junk journals. Maybe you're new, maybe you're overwhelmed with the price of crafty items and you want some ideas of what you can add to your journals that you probably already have around the household or in your crafty hoard, or that you can get for very, very little money. So follow along right to the end. The very end one is the most important one in my mind. So make sure you do watch to the end. And here I'm going to give you lots of ideas. First one, and the most obvious, is book pages. So have a look what you've got. Maybe you've got some old books that you've read several times, or ones you've picked up you're never going to read. They're collecting dust. Bring them to one side and use them. So book pages are really useful in journaling. You can use them to reinforce things that you're making. You can make pockets out of them, just simpler by folding it like so. You can make envelopes out of them. You can tear them to make interesting elements to decorate a page. Okay, stick that on a page and then add other elements on, make your clusters. There's so much you can do with just plain old book pages with just script on. Then for extra interest, you've got things like dictionaries and thesauruses. It's a different kind of paper. It's a little bit thinner, and you know, having different weights of paper and different colour shades, it all adds interest. One of my favourite sayings. Then of course, you can shop your car boot sales, thrift stores, charity shops, or maybe you've got an older relative that wants to get rid of some old books, and you can pick some with specific themes. Natural history, this one's all about dressmaking, and the trick is not to pay, you know, more than a very small amount for these books. Okay, we're not using anything that's of any real significance, you know, we're not destroying anything, we're repurposing and giving these books a new life. So this one's got quite shiny pages, but it's got some artistic impression pages, it's got some photographic pages. It's really, really interesting. And then also I could use the cover if I wanted to create a large journal, or if you pick a smaller book, you can use that as a journal. You can cut the covers off and then make your journal and make a wider spine. So book pages are one of the greatest tools to use. Just don't get too many or you'll end up with a huge hoard. We don't want a huge hoard. So just get a few and use them up until they're finished, or just get a small collection so you're not feeling overwhelmed. Let's go on to the next pages. One. Atlas pages. Maybe you've got old road maps. We don't use them anymore. We used sat-nav, don't we? I do. I still get lost. But map pages, you can pick these up for next to nothing now in charity shops or at car boot sales or whatever kind of thing you call it in your country, where you go and pick up second-hand things. They're absolutely cheap as chips. Or if you have a look around in your cupboards at home, you may have an old you know, map or route guide, something like that, an old RAC atlas that you used to use back in the day before sat-nav. And these typically have quite large pages. This is actually an atlas from around the 70s, because some of the countries are don't even have the same names now. But what lovely colours are these? And you know, it's nice and sturdy. And they're large. You can make all sorts with them. Ephemera wallets. You can use them as journaling pages. You can use accents of them, as I showed previously, by ripping them off. You know, ripping sections. There's so much you can do with map pages. So there's another idea for you when you're looking around to see what you've got. Let's have a look at another paper. So when you're making a journal, it doesn't have to be fancy paper. I use beautiful digitals such as these. Okay, some people use expensive scrapbooking paper, but you don't have to. Excuse me. You can use, I use those and I intermingle with things that I'm showing you today. So your standard note paper, who hasn't got a spiral bound jotter at home in a drawer somewhere? So, or any kind of note paper from little notebooks that you've got. We all have them, we all have too many, and you can absolutely take pages out and use them in your journals. So I would fold that and I would slip it in a signature. Not all journal pages have to be the same size. It's interesting to have some that are smaller. You can use them for all sorts. You can stamp on them, you can tea dye them, you can watercolour on them, you can make all sorts. So your bog standard notepaper is a fantastic, fantastic element to put in your journals. Practically free, because I challenge anybody not to have one of these already at home. Plastic wallets and page separators. Now these are cheap as chips. If you don't have them in your collection at home or in your home office or whatever, if you don't have any of these, they're absolutely cheap as chips. They're only thin, or you can get these thicker ones, and you can put these in your journals. You can cut these up and make windows out of them for things. You can make ephemera out of them. You can make pockets out of them. These, I love to trim that bit off, but you could leave it. Fold it in half. I'll put it in my signature, and I will use my sewing machine and make pockets, or you could use washi tape or anything, and you can make interesting pockets for things that are clear so that you can see what's in them. You can use the acetate there to make shakers. Okay, it's cheaper than buying acetate, packs of acetate sheet. It's a cheaper way of doing it. So you can make your shakers, you can make windows in your handmade envelopes, you can make see-through elements in a page. There's so much you can do with the humble plastic page separator and pocket. That's what I'm calling them, because I can't think of wallets. Let's have a look at another one. Fabric samples, fabric scraps, recycled fabrics. I very, very, very rarely, I think probably 3 times in the whole of my crafty career have I actually purchased a brand new fabric. I always use recycled. Old curtains, yeah, they're dated, they're old, but it's got a vintage look. Yeah, wouldn't hang them in my house now, but perfect for crafting. You can cover books with them, you can rip them up, you can make rolled roses, you can make flowers, you can make ruffles that go down the side of a page. So much you can do with them. Pick them up if you see them in charity shops, but just again, don't overhoard. It's a slippery slope when it comes to fabric. Any fabric crafter will tell you it's a slippery slope, so do be careful. You know, go with a crafty friend, maybe purchase a few things and share them between you. Little fabric samples, these I've had gifted, but it's just enough. And you can use larger pieces to decorate the covers. You can use smaller pieces to make embellishments and clusters and whatever you like. Again, you can make ruffles out of them, which look lovely on the side of your pages. You can make page tabs from them. Yep, so you just do a long rectangle, fold it like so, and put it on the side of a page, so it's a page tab. So much you can do with fabric. Just be careful not to hoard or overbuy. It's a slippery slope. Popular one, envelopes. Now these are recycled, so my husband gets heaps and heaps of mail through his work, and as you can see, these oily handprints are on these ones. And what I do is, where he just randomly, very rudely, just rips them open with absolutely no consideration for the fact that I might want to use them, I will trim that off and then I'll save them. These can be decorated. You can take them to pieces and just utilise the paper. You can take the acetate off and use it somewhere else. You can cut the top and the side, and then it's a complete pocket. You can have it as a side pocket. You can decorate them. You can make flips out of them. You can join them together and make pages. You can make entire journals just from envelopes. So, you know, but again, don't overhoard. The trick is to make sure you've got enough. If you think to yourself, how many would I put in a journal? So I might use between 5 and 10 in a journal. How many journals do I make a month? Maybe 1, 2 at a push. So I don't need to have hundreds and hundreds of these. Just be careful you don't overhoard. The larger envelopes, I actually have these gifted. I keep them in my stash because I think they'll come in useful. So these are the really large ones. You can make covers out of these, journal covers. Seal it up and you can make a full cover. Or again, you can cut into it, make lots of little envelopes. These, I could make 3 off. I could probably make 4 different little envelopes out of this one. Money style, you know, with the policy closure, with the circles that goes round and round. It's lovely, lovely paper. You could even cut it up and make a journal page out of it. There's so much you can do. So these are really useful. Let's do another one. So here's kind of 2. So we've got paper bags. Paper bags, lunch bags. If you get them from the grocery store, sometimes you can sneak the odd ones for free, or, you know, recycle ones that you've used. And these make fantastic little journals, paper bag journals. Or again, same with your envelopes, use them for pockets. But these are good because they're gusseted, so they open wider. You can stamp on them, you can draw on them. If you add gesso to them, you can do anything on them. You can collage on them. And they're fantastic. You could cut that up and make 2 large pockets out of it. There's loads you could do, okay? This is the only place I'm giving packaging because I really go against hoarding packaging. I think it can get a little bit much, but this is fancy packaging. This is not just packaging, this is Christian Dior Paris packaging. So I got some perfume for Christmas. My husband often treats me to a nice perfume every year, and every year I will save the packaging, and often it comes with a fancy ribbon. And I just think this is beautiful. How pretty is that? Now that is packaging worth hoarding. Okay, I'm not going to hoard Amazon packaging because I can get another one next week. But this, I'll only get maybe 1 a year, so I will hoard it. And how beautiful is that? How beautiful is that gold embossed pattern on there? Absolutely stunning. I could use it as it is. It's nice and thick. I can use the cord handle off for something. But I will lightly cut this up and use small parts so that I can use it for a long time. It's absolutely stunning. So some packaging you're allowed to hoard because it's beautiful. Playing cards. If you're like my family, we tend to have about 1,000,001 packs of playing cards or game cards or whatever. There's more than just playing cards that you can use. You know, quiz cards, or let me think of something off the top of my head. Something like maybe an old box game where you've got the cards with the questions on and you've got bits missing, or your children have grown out of it and it's no longer of any use, or the questions are outdated. You can use the cards. Use them, you can decorate them, you can use them as, you can just decorate them for fun. People decorate playing cards just for the fun of it. But you can decorate them, use them as decorative elements in your journal, like little journaling cards or ephemera, okay? And then if you're lucky, you might come across something like this, which I've had quite a while. These are some that I've had, different ones I've had gifted, but these are some old children's ones, and they've actually got braille on them. So I picked these up in a charity shop quite a while ago for like 25p. And I just thought one day I will use those. They are really lovely. Some things are worth hoarding. And I think this is one of them. Look at Miss Mouse, isn't she lovely? And Miss Rabbit. So I will one day incorporate those into a journal. Or I might tell myself from now on I'm going to hide one of these in every single journal that I make as a little calling card kind of thing. So there you go. Playing cards. We've not done. Stay with me. Now, ephemera, lots of people, I often hear them say on journaling groups, what is ephemera? Ephemera is just basically things that you use to decorate your journal with. However, the original meaning of ephemera is things like old letters, okay? Genuine old vintage letters, vintage old books, things like that. I've got all sorts, more letters, and old receipts for things. This is from 1910. I've got some ration books. I've all sorts. So this is your old style ephemera, okay? And these are just make interesting things to look at in vintage style journals. They're just interesting, or people use them, you know, to decorate the pages, take elements of them, or just put them in as they are because it's just interesting and it's fun to keep. These little bits, they are little bits of history, so they're fun to keep. Okay, now my favourite kind of ephemera is what I call personal ephemera. So these are things that you might collect. I've recently been on a lovely fancy meal with my husband that I got him for Christmas, and I, you know, took all of whatever I could to mark the occasion. So here's the little note paper that was left in our room in welcoming us. Here's the menu, and it's just beautiful because it's made from this lovely printed vellum, and then in there we've got the lovely menus on this beautiful paper. And then here, this was actually the cheese list but it came in these fantastic like policy closure envelopes, and so things like this you can slip in, you know, especially if you're doing a journal to commemorate something rather than just for the sake of it. I'm quite down with the ideas of making journals to commemorate holidays or, you know, through your year or whatever, and so you can slip things like this into a journal that you're keeping for yourself. And those memories are there forever. They're not just stuck in a box. They're part of a beautiful journal. So ephemera is another one. I've got a few more. Kitchen items. These are my two favourite kitchen items to use. One is grease-proof baking paper. Okay. It's, you know, there's all kinds of different varieties of what you use for baking. This is like almost like a wax grease-proof paper. Now this, when it's crunched up, excuse the noise, you get all of those lovely lines and it kind of holds it. It tea and coffee stains beautifully, and it makes for fantastic elements in your journal. You can make your pockets or your flips or your folios or your journal pages with it, and you've got that lovely texture and that crinkly sound. So that is definitely worth it. And you know, if you don't have any, I mean, I buy it because I use it, I do actually genuinely use it in my kitchen. So, you know, that's not an extra purchase. I'm just using something I've already got. Foil. You can use good old kitchen foil for lots of things. Obviously, you can use them to sharpen up your tools, but if you fold it over a few times, like so, you can put this through your embossing machine, and you can make embossed metal kind of effect, ephemera with it, and or decorations for what, you know, ephemera also means decorations. And you can make them out of foil if you want in metal style embellishments. And then obviously you could colour that with, if you have any alcohol inks or alcohol markers, you could colour over the top and make for some really interesting things. It's all about using your imagination. There's lots of things in your house that you could probably use in your journal that you've not even thought of. We're nearly at the end. String and buttons. I'll put these two together. The most important one is going to be next. Parcel string, cheap as chips. But have a look what you've got in your collection. At home, you might be a crocheter or somebody that knits or somebody that sews. So we've got parcel string here as an example, but parcel string, crochet thread, embroidery thread, wool, all really useful for journal making. They're useful for binding your journal. They're useful to make tassels. They're useful to make dangles and embellishments. You can just make little bows and glue those on. Lots and lots of things. You can tie them on the top of your tags. You can decorate your pockets with them. You cannot go wrong with good old-fashioned string or an alternative. But have a look what you've already got. Don't rush out and buy it. Have a look what you've got at home first. Buttons. Buttons are the same. You know, if I'm taking any old clothes for recycling now, I'll remove the buttons, okay? I've also got some cheap and cheerful crafty ones that I've purchased in the past or had gifted, some little wooden ones, but yeah, these have been taken off of old shirts, or these are some that I got spare with a blouse. You know how they give you extra ones, or I've taken them off because I've probably burnt the blouse, put a hole in it or something. Buttons. These make lovely little dangles or embellishments, or you can just literally add them to a tag for a little point of interest. Buttons are always a winner. Never, ever, ever throw clothes away without taking the buttons off. They make perfect little additions to your journal. So the last one, I'm going to stay here with you and I'm going to tell you. And so this is one of my favourite elements for a journal. Photos. Photos, photos, photos. Here are some photos of my lovely family. Okay, Don't forget, journals are for a reason. We don't have to just make them just for prettiness. You know, lots of them are packed with pages and flips and beautifulness. But I think that we could absolutely use them like a modern day mini album. And you can add your photos of your loved ones to your journals. Add your memories. You know, we're all guilty of saving these lovely photos. Look at her. Saving... This is my fur grandbaby Milo. And that's his mum. We're all guilty these days of taking heaps of photos and leaving them on our phones. Go and print them out. They have print stations at your local supermarket. There is no excuse. You can download apps on your phone and send the photos to a company and they'll post you the photographs. Get your photos, put them in your journals. How much nicer journaling are these going to look in journaling pockets rather than just boring tags? How fun. So there's lots and lots of ideas for you for what you can put in your journals for either no cost or a very, very low cost. And you can make journals completely from these items, or you can do what I do and I will intermingle them along with my decorative papers. Journaling doesn't have to cost a lot of money. It's all about having fun and using what you have. I hope those ideas helped. Thanks for watching. Take care and I'll see you soon. Bye.